kicking us off is a trailer that just kind of dropped out of nowhere. Like the night before this trailer dropped, Jeremy Renner took to social media. He's like, oh, hey, by the way, my trailer comes out tomorrow morning. And all of us are going, that sounds like a Hawkeye type of announcement. Hey, guys, we're in Afterthought again. And looking at this trailer, no offense, I could see why. I didn't mind this trailer, but it's not Marvel's best. We'll just put it that way. Don't get me wrong. I think a lot of people have slept on both the character of Hawkeye and the prospect of this show. I think this show, unfortunately, at least how I've seen it, is a lot of people have kind of been treating this as the butt of a lot of jokes of just like, everyone gets a show. See, even Hawkeye gets a show, to which I've never really had a problem with Hawkeye. I get the joke and the criticism that he's the weakest Avenger or whatever else, but ever since Age of Ultron, I think he was one of the better and more interesting characters just because, oh, look, he actually has a family and he actually genuinely wants to retire, but you guys keep begging him to come back. And then the whole Ronin thing, which I don't think his hair is nearly as bad as everyone else makes it out to be. I kind of dig the mohawk, but we're back to boring 2012 Hawkeye hair in this one. I think the trailer for this is okay. Maybe it's just me. It didn't feel like a Marvel show. This felt kind of like a generic action movie. I got a little bit of Die Hard vibes from this. Josh, did you get any Die Hard vibes out of this?
Yeah, I totally got Die Hard vibes. And it does feel more like just like a generic action film. But I don't know, man. I'm trying to like be positive here because there's, you know, WandaVision was one of those shows where we're like, it's not going to be anything. And then
it wasn't anything.
It was still entertaining up to a certain point. I don't know if it deserved 3 Emmys, but whatever.
Shallow class this year.
Yeah. Anyway, was it though? No, okay. Don't get me into it. I just, yeah, it feels like an afterthought, and it feels like it's entertaining to a certain level. I have no issue with anybody's performance, I guess, in the trailer, but it kind of like is one of those trailers, and even the even the logo is kind of like, okay, cool, I guess.
Is Target going to sue them for copyright infringement?
I don't see why not, but like, I think, okay, so let's go takeaways real quick here. Things that you maybe you enjoyed from the trailer.
Cute doggo.
I like.
There's a cute doggo.
Cute doggo. I love Kate being like, I'm the greatest archer on the planet, whatever. And he's like,
who says that?
Does everybody say that? Or, and she goes, well, I say that. I say that. I was like, okay, that's a great little tag, because that's always the thing attached to Hawkeye. I think I mentioned it to you. I love that Clint has a hearing aid in this. Although you need to explain it. You can't. I swear, and I think you said this to me too. If they just be like, yeah, no, he's always had this issue. No, I'm sorry, we have close to 20 movies saying otherwise.
Yeah, that's one of those, like, if I'll be very pissed if they retroactively just go, yeah, he's always been deaf. I'll point to specific scenes in the MCU going, no, he's clearly not. Like, hey, remember that time in the first Avengers movie when he's on top of the roof and he's shooting arrows and no one's around him, yet he's talking to the rest of his teammates with an earpiece?
Mm-hmm.
Other times, maybe it'd be like, okay, the deaf community is the best at reading lips. Maybe he's just really good at reading lips. But other times, he's by himself and he cannot read people's lips, so he's not always been deaf. So I don't think they'll do that, but I will want an explanation to why he now has a hearing aid. Some people have suggested in that massive explosion at Avengers Tower in Endgame, that knocked out his hearing, to which I'm just going... Okay. Well, is Ant-Man deaf then? Is
Ant-Man's super.
I'm trying to think of who else was there. Because Captain America's old and on the moon now. Iron Man's dead. Hulk. We could say it now. Shang-Chi's been out for 2 weeks. He's back to human form now and not wearing a hearing aid. So I don't know if I would say Endgame is what caused Hawkeye to be deaf. I just want clarification. I just want to know what happened there.
Yeah.
What caused him to go. Now, if he like lost it in the first episode, sure, fine. But the fact that he's like sending his family away, it makes it kind of seem like sometime between Endgame and this, he lost his hearing. And I'm like, that's kind of a big deal here of you just lost one of your major senses. But I'm glad that they will be taking that approach, just because as I'm not overly familiar with the character, I do know that he's been deaf for quite a while in the comics, and I think that would be really good representation for the deaf community, as we'll talk about a deaf character in our discussion later, because oh, it's so good. But I think that's a audience that could use some representation, and I think Hawkeye would be a good face for that. This is not a show about Hawkeye. This is, again, just like the Black Widow movie was introducing Elena and basically was doing nothing else. WandaVision, they'll say was exploring the multiverse. That was not true. It was just there to introduce us to the twins. This is just further setting up the Young Avengers, basically, to me. But the big difference is it's Hailey Steinfeld, so I'm much more interested in it because, as we talked about numerous times on the podcast, 9 times out of 10 when Hailey Steinfeld is attached to something, it means it's going to be good, with a few exceptions. Pitch Perfect sequels. Yes, I just referenced those. But by and large, she needs to like give her agent a raise, because usually her agent picks great projects for her to be in. Let's just look at her very first thing. True Grit. Like, holy crap, guys. And then you got Bumblebee, you've got this. I'm sure she'll knock it out of the park. I feel like I'm missing a really big one, but I'm trying to remember what it is. I've heard great things about her on Dickinson. She's just one of our favorite I don't even know if she's an up-and-coming actress at this point. She's
technically at this point now, yeah.
Like, I feel like she's one of those MCU castings that we've got when they're actually big. Like, as much as you and I have loved Florence Pugh for quite a few years now, I felt like Black Widow was Florence Pugh's big coming out party to the mainstream audience. Yeah. The mainstream already knows who Hailey Steinfeld is, so whether it's movies or music or whatever else. Like, I feel like this is Marvel actually kind of just going with a big name, which we haven't done since maybe Benedict Cumberbatch with Doctor Strange. I'm sure there's some other names I'm missing. Chadwick Boseman wasn't a big name yet. Brie Larson wasn't a big name yet, I don't think.
Well, and I mean, you could almost argue Robert De Niro, not Robert. Wow. Oh, jeez, Downey Jr.
But that was at the beginning.
That was at the beginning, and nobody took him seriously because he just got out of rehab.
But yeah, I'm saying since Doctor Strange, we've had intros to people.
No, but I don't think anybody like really, really big has been cast.
And we're not saying Hailey Steinfeld is on the same fame level as a Benedict Cumberbatch or a Robert Downey Jr. We're just saying she's, for Marvel castings, which typically lean on the more obscure to fit the role pretty well, they went with a pretty high profile name in Hailey Steinfeld, who we still think will be excellent for the role. I appreciate that right off the bat. I think her costume is already better than most of the Avengers roster. It's just kind of bizarre to me that now that we're done with Endgame, Marvel just seems to be focused on, okay, now is when we're going to do comic accurate costumes. I'm going, why couldn't we do that before? Like, come on now. Okay, we teased it a little bit in Thor Ragnarok, but if we're doing comic book accurate suits, can we please bring back the winged helmet for Thor? I'm still pissed that they took that away in the first Thor movie, because that was perfect. But
it was gorgeous, bro.
Josh, how you feeling about the purple Kate Bishop suit so far?
Let's go. Absolutely. Yeah. Bring it on. I'm very curious as to why she's wearing a Ronin like replica suit at the beginning. First of all, that was during the 5 years everybody was snapped, so
clearly she was still here.
Yeah, that and how would the news have images and have that kind of information? Like, I don't know. I have all kinds of questions. It's about time frame and stuff like that.
Don't think about the blip.
Don't think about it. I can't. We literally, like, so much of the show is so much of the shows coming in right now have been so like revolving around the idea of what of the ramifications of the blip. So it's kind of hard to ignore at this particular moment.
So, as a whole, like, this trailer didn't get me more excited, but also didn't, like, take away my excitement. It
Yeah.
pretty much stayed level, which, at least in my eyes, means not a good trailer, but that's because a trailer should raise your excitement. Shouldn't detract.
Yeah.
But the fact that my excitement just kind of stays where it's at, I was like, eh. I appreciated all the Christmas theming. It got me in the Christmas mood. In September, get away from me in my spoopy time. I will celebrate your Christmas season when it comes its time due, but for the time being, let me have my spooky stuff. Let me have my Muppets Haunted Mansion. This... Do we know how many episodes this is? Is this like 6 or 8?
No clue.
Um,
Yeah, knowing that, given how how the shows have been going lately, I'd say yeah, probably 6 or 8. I'd max would be 10, but I
now,
don't know if they can get 10 episodes out of it.
I'll be very curious how they rope in Yelena into this, because obviously after Black Widow, she's destined to run into Hawkeye somehow, which I'm not going to lie. I would pay good money to see Florence Pugh versus Hailey Steinfeld. Like maybe
I'm down.
maybe like Hawkeye's injured, as we see him ice pack up a ton in this trailer, which I kind of appreciate that he's going to get the crap beat out of him. Maybe like she's about to fight him, and like Game of Thrones type of situation of, I need a stand-in. Here's my fighter. You two fight. And that the two of them realize, okay, this has been a big misunderstanding, and the two of them more or less become some of the new recruits for the new Avengers going forward, and we get a buddy dynamic between the two of them. Yes, please pair up Florence Pugh and Hailey Steinfeld. They could be the new Bucky and Sam Wilson pairing type. I'd be absolutely down for that.
The other thing I thought about was just like all of the comedy that Florence brings in Black Widow is, I'm just picturing some of the comments she makes in that movie, talking. It maybe her and Clint kind of have like a moment where they're reflecting about Natalia and like being like having memories and stuff, and she brings up the poser thing, and Clint's like, I know, I always thought that was weird.
I can see that. I would like to see that.
Yeah, absolutely.